Hey, I teased giving Harvard $50,000 to take Zoom classes. I don't know if I even have to ask your guys' opinions on this.
No.
But what?
Crazy. But who's going to pay? That's my thing is like, and then we're going to watch people pay for it.
People are going to do this, right? So this just shows you how bankrupt and insane higher education is, that they would have the audacity to charge people $50,000 for this. And that is what a racket it is, right?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Absolutely insane.
And then they say they're going to test, it might have been, I can't remember if it was them or someone else, that they're going to test students every 2 days and take away sports. It's like no sports, which is like your D1. And then you're going to test people every 2 days? Come on.
I don't understand. Wait.
I got tested and it was not great. I didn't enjoy having that thing stuck in the
You
bowels
did that
of
one?
my head.
I did too. Yeah. I did 2 of the blood tests and they both came back negative. There's some new tests coming that are going to be dope though, where you're going to be able to like do a swab that's not like the deep crazy swab, and in 15 minutes for $10 you get it. So
maybe that's part of, they're banking on an easier test, but still.
Here's an idea. What if Harvard instead said it's $5,000 and we're going to open the door, and anyone who wants to have a Harvard education for $5,000 a year on Zoom can do it. And the whole world should show up because education should be open and we're no longer constrained by buildings, and we're not greedy, and we do have a great brand. We already have $40 billion in our endowment or whatever it is. Let's just go teach people. Let's go invest in actual education of everyone that we can if we think we're so special. That would be revolutionary, game-changing, progressive, interesting, and it would also help so many people get a leg up because they have that Harvard on their resume forever.
To your point, Alex, you're saying if you're so good at teaching, teach more people.
Teach more people. It's on Zoom, guys. You can do more than 20 people on a call, but instead Harvard wants to maintain the exclusivity because they're jerks. And because they're selfish and greedy and not focused on education, they're focused on maintaining their own hegemony in the education market globally. It's not great. It's sad.
I don't understand doing that when their endowment is so large. So it's like the interest on your endowment, you can wait a year, you can skip a year. Is it really that expensive to operate? It's like you're going to go in a deficit anyways, having people on campus and having food service and all these other things. It doesn't make any sense.
And so the expectation is you put a bunch of young people into dorms and they sit on their computers and they watch Zoom. And then you're trusting that none of them are going to kiss each other at any point in time.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Or go on a date.
Right.
Like, I kind of think...
Right. They were like, you can't go into each other's dorms. Only people in the dorms, in the dorm itself, can stay in that dorm. Come on.
Yeah.
That will last 12 hours.
Why am I here?
Right.
Kind of think maybe there might be some necking going on in college. Somebody might get a little kissy. And
so here's the question.
Yeah.
What is the use case for why someone would say, okay, I'll see you there?
My parents are so rich and I am so entitled that I just want a Harvard sweatshirt and logo on my LinkedIn page. I mean, that's really what we're saying here. Because you could watch the same videos are they on Coursera or edX or whatever it is? Like,
yeah, they're on one of them.
They're on one of them. So,
but they've always been on those.
MIT also is like, MIT put all their stuff online. And there was this one kid, I don't know if you read about this. He took every MIT course for his like master's in AI or something, wrote all the documentation down. And I was talking, and I've told the story before here, I was talking to somebody who's, very famous in the industry. And I said, would you take that person who took all the courses on their own and documented and put it in a manila folder and handed it to you, or somebody who went there? And he's like, well, of course I take the former. I want the person who was the hustler.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this person's writing a book about it, by the way, on how he did that. And I think I was actually having this debate with my wife, and I was talking to her about how, like, everybody has access to YouTube now. Every skill you could want to learn is on YouTube. There are some ways in which the world has gotten demonstrably better for learning skills. And still people are watching 5 hours of television a night. The average American watches 4 or 5 hours of television to this day. When I meet young people and they're like, hey, what should I do? I'm like, stop watching television for 2 years and learn how to code, be a designer, be a salesperson, anything. Just get any course you can get and just load up on skills. So the accreditation is making less and less sense. And I thought the whole like people buying their way into Ivy League schools with like photoshopped photos would end this nonsense where people are just, the idea of credentialing is over. This feels like the last,
Okay, so yes, but if you're white. If you're not white, I think the credential, what?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, I think people still need credentials and need that stamp of approval. I mean,
You do?
absolutely. I went and got a stamp of approval as a startup. I was like, you know what? I don't care how good our company is. I still need one little Silicon Valley stamp of approval.
Like what, 500 startups or YC or like some
I did
investor?
500 startups.
You have 500 startups, so you get a little logo.
You get the little logo, you have your little demo day, you get the guaranteed TechCrunch article. Like, you just have to play the game. No matter, you can't be too naive to think that you're going to be the one who didn't have to play the game.
I just feel like this skills are so, especially with remote work now, like because we're not in the same offices, the person who just gets something done very quickly and sends you the result, it feels like that's the person who's going to win. I don't, maybe I'm naive, but like, if
it's
you
just
need
not there yet. You're close, Jason. There's a leveling. You're directionally accurate. I think you're right. Credentials are losing their power. I have many friends that don't have college degrees that are doing very well. I think you're right that skills and competence are the thing that matter. But we're in this little circle here, and a lot of people outside of the circle are still essentially operating like they always have, and they need 4-year degree or at least 2 years in the right direction.
And we're in tech. We're not doctors, we're not lawyers, we're not accountants, we're not also in professions
for
degrees.
If there's certification like brain surgery, you're not going to learn on YouTube. Although I have to say, like there have been some people who have learned how to fly on simulators and on YouTube and then stolen planes. Like, this has become like a bit of a thing.
And in med school, they do simulations and 3D stuff, and they do that in med school too.
I think this was in a science fiction film, a science fiction novel where some kid basically in the simulator got so good at surgery that they became the greatest surgeon ever because they were just, it's almost like Ender's Game. Remember Ender's Game? I don't, spoiler alert, but it's not a video game. It's the real world.
So it's interesting you say that my wife is now in her 4th year of residency, and she just finished her year 3. So I'm living with someone who's going through this really advanced credentialing process. I think for those sorts of jobs, we should maintain kind of the current system as it is. But for everything else, we should tear it down, especially down to weird things like hair technicians and so forth that are kept out of work by really ridiculous government rules and regulations that are asinine and that are always somehow much more hard to get than to become a police officer, which is
dun dun dun.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, and there we are at policing. I mean, that's the ultimate one where we have to rethink it.
Yeah,
we don't have enough time on this show.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a time period, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was starting to see a lot of non-lethal policing equipment. So like, guns where you shoot a net, guns that don't kill you, all this kind of stuff. And then you just think about it and it's like, yeah, none of that stops somebody who kneels on somebody's neck for 8 minutes and just murders them and suffocates them. Like, this isn't even an issue of somebody being shot with a gun.